This morning we received our Legendex Exhaust for the 200 series. The Cruiser's 2016, so legally we can only replace the exhaust from the DPF back. So this is what this is. Legendex is a company in Brisbane. Been around for a long time. They used to be called Genie. Anybody that was into cars back in the 70s probably remember the Genie headers and extractors. Same company, just grown, changed their name, and now Legendex. Ordered it on the 19th of April, today's the 4th of May, so that's not too bad. They said it would be 3 to 4 weeks, but it didn't take that long. So we'll unpack it and see what we got. Just unpacking the contents, laying it out in place and just making sure everything's there before we start. It is a twin 3.5 inch stainless system flowing into a 4-inch system. It has a single resonator, so hopefully it'll sound good as well as performing well. Even though we've got to leave the catalytic converter and the DPFs in there, apparently this is supposed to give a 10 to 15% improvement in power and torque, which is why we're doing it, and improve fuel economy. Hopefully everything's here. The only thing that appears to be missing is a set of instructions, but maybe we can figure that out as we go. I've got all these bolts to undo under here. What I did last week was hit them all up with WD-40 just to make sure they're loose. Go and see how we went with that. There is the DPF, which we can't take out. Injectors to it. There's our first connection. Now the trick here is, depending which joint you're looking at, either the nuts or the bolt heads will be welded in place. So if you try and loosen it by the wrong side, you won't get very far. So on this joint, it's 14mm. The nut is welded in place. So we've got to attack the bolt head on this side. I started undoing the flanges closest to the two DPFs and working my way backwards towards the muffler. I left all the hangers in place just so it all remained intact until I was finished doing that. The two gaskets in these joins closest to the DPFs you want to put aside and keep, because you'll want to reuse those. Also the bolts on the driver's side, you need to reuse those, and the nuts on the passenger side, you need to keep those to reuse those. There will be replacement nuts and washers in the kits for the bolts on the driver's side in the sprung connection there. I chose to replace the gaskets with new ones from Toyota. That's the 3 connectors done. Now just behind the muffler there's a compression bracket just there. Just got to loosen that up. And then we've got to remove all the hangers, which apparently is the hardest part. So once you loosen that bracket off, you can twist it around so you can get access to it.
The nut on this is welded on, so you've got to access the bolt head, which is a bit difficult hidden up there, but now that it's twisted around it'll be a bit easier. And this one bolt is 12mm. All the others have been 14. So just to mix it up a bit, this one's 12.
Once you've loosened this clamp, you can just pull it off and chuck it, because it doesn't get used in the replacement system.
As I've sprayed up the hangers with WD-40, hopefully that'll allow me to get it out. One down. So plenty of wiggling and pushing and swearing, grunting. It's finally come off. So that's the two rubber grommets holding the, or hangers holding the back section on the rear muffler. And now we'll just try and wheel that and get that out.
The gap between the diff housing and the body wasn't high enough to get the tailpipe out.
So the muffler and tailpipe wouldn't come out, so I had to cheat. Jack it up a few inches. Hopefully it comes out a bit easier now. So a lot more swearing. WD-40 struggling. The old system's off. Looks like it's probably 3-inch, but you get down here, it's almost flat. That's not from damage, that's how it comes out of the factory. So now we've got to figure out how to put the new one on. So I started fitting up the new exhaust and immediately struck a few problems. I didn't think there was enough gaskets. They'd given me in the kit 2 3.5-inch gaskets and one 4-inch gasket. But the gaskets that go from the DPF to the new pipes didn't look the best. There's one, that's the one from the passenger side. That one's not too bad. A bit of a chunk out of it there. That's the one from the driver's side. So I ducked off, and luckily I had 2 of those in stock at the local Toyota dealer. So I put new gaskets in, and then you've got to reuse the nuts and bolts that are in there. And I think the fitting kit is supposed to come with 2 nuts, because as I mentioned before, the nuts are actually welded to the old pipe. So I've just had to cut 2 nuts off the old pipe to get it together. We'll see how that goes anyway.
Again, starting at the flanges closest to the DPFs, just fitted it up. At this stage you only want to do it finger tight. And don't forget to put your new flange gaskets in before you put your nuts and bolts in. You'll also reuse the factory rubber hangers. They fit perfectly to the new system and will hold it in places before you tighten it up. Once you're happy with the clearance at the back and it's all looking nice and neat and not touching anywhere, then start tightening all your nuts and bolts up. And there you go. Once all your bolts are tight, you're ready to go. Let's say this should take between an hour and 2 hours. As you can see, I used no hoist or anything. I was just lying on my back. It took me about 3 hours with a bit of running around. But finally got there, and it looks good.
I'm not sure whether that was my imagination or not, but it seemed to get off the mark a bit better. It's a nice subtle note. Guess the real test will be when we hook the van up. And until then, we'll say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, just ask.